I remember back when I was 14 years old, back in 2007, I was first looking up gender transition because I was a very troubled person, and I was looking for a solution, like a way to be happy. And I felt like maybe it was something to do with gender, because I was deeply unsatisfied. I very much misliked being male. And so I stumbled across gender transition, and I was looking that up, and I came across the very first thing that I remember noticing that didn't make sense about the LGBT community. And that was, whenever I would watch an interview, or anytime a transgender person would try to explain why they transitioned, they would say, it's almost like they were quoting somebody else. It seemed like they were repeating something. They would say, I knew I was a woman trapped in a man's body. Knew you were a woman trapped in a man's body. And now, like, you knew, well, how did you know? Like, I'm not even sure about it at the time. Like, now I am sure, because, like, I started transition, and then I was like, oh, this is great for me. Perfect. And it was wonderful. But at the time, I had no idea if it would be the right thing. And it's caused me a lot of, like, stress, just worrying about it. So you knew that you were a woman. Well, what does that mean to be a woman? How can you know that you're a woman even whenever you look and act and think and speak and are a man? Or a boy at the time, because, like, I totally failed at being a man. I kind of succeeded at being a boy, but totally failed at being a man. So that's the second thing that I don't get about it. And then you were trapped in a male body. Well, I can kind of understand that, but it still just doesn't seem to be a good way to explain it, because it's not that I'm trapped. Like, I didn't feel trapped. I felt like I was, what I later found out was a better way to articulate it, is that I felt I was incompatible with this lifestyle. It's not that I was trapped. It's not like it was a foreign body that I was stuck in. It was my body. It was just going down a route that I wasn't very capable of handling. And then last part was male body. So knew I was a female trapped in a male body. Now the last part I didn't really have too many problems with, so I think that was only the only real part that I understood. And so I believe that actually set me back, because I remember thinking, like, well, I don't know what that means to be female, and so I don't know if I'm transgender. And if I hadn't have actually come across people saying that much, and they had a better way of explaining it, I might have actually started my transition sooner and actually had a better result. But, I mean, I'm not like complaining about myself. I worry that other people might come across those bad ideas, and that'll hurt their own understanding of themselves. Now I believe that problem has a root cause shared with another problem, which is the ever-expanding number of genders. Now, there's nothing intrinsically bad about having 150 genders, but it gets complicated, and they're redundant to the point of not even making much sense. And I regularly hear a lot of people saying the LGBT community, and sometimes it'll be LGBT, sometimes it'll be LGBTQ, then LGBT LMNOXIV. It goes on, and every single time they say it, it's something different. Sometimes whenever the same person will say it differently, and every single time they say it, and they don't always know what all the letters mean. It seems like this might be a problem that is an amplified fault of a foundational idea. So, I believe there's a foundational idea to most things. Like, there's a bunch of foundational ideas, and whenever those foundational ideas have a small flaw or a crack, the crack in the foundational idea, the flaw will be amplified if you build on top of that. And so I believe that the root cause of at least the shared problems between the first problem and whatever I felt was off about that, and then the second one, like why it just didn't seem to make sense. Like, why are people saying things that just don't seem to make sense? Is that I don't think people know enough about themselves to properly dictate what gender they are, and that's why we need to rely on pronouns from other people. Now, you might know what gender you are more compatible with living as, like for instance, whenever I think about like the actual details of why I transitioned. So I was thinking about it, and like we have like a mental compass. Like usually you think of yourself as if you woke up and you were horribly obese, you most likely would not be very pleased. And if you woke up and you were very fit, you'd probably be more pleased about yourself. Like you're nice and you can run, you'd probably be more pleased about yourself. And that is similar across genders. Most people will feel very unhappy with themselves if they're obese, and much happier if they're fit and can do things and run around and have energy. Well, there's certain things that I believe would be like I don't know a good way to explain it, but like for instance, if a man, and there's certain things like those that are flipped between genders. Like if a man grows boobs, then he's probably not going to feel very confident, and he'll actually probably be very unhappy. And that's actually true, because that's what gynecomastia is, and they have surgeries to remove that in men. Whereas if a woman grows boobs, there's a good chance that they'll actually feel better about themselves. And so those two are reversed. And if you reverse what's happening, then the results reverse also. If a man has a flat chest, then they're most likely going to feel very good about themselves. If a woman has flat chest, they're most likely going to feel very bad about themselves. And so how people respond to those two things sometimes are flipped depending on gender. And for me, those were always flipped towards female. So like I remember like age 14, I was very insecure about having a flat chest. And I was like, this is not a good thing to be insecure about. This is not a good thing for a boy to be insecure about. And there's all other things like just like facial structure, all of these different aspects. I was very uncomfortable and insecure about when almost like I was a female being forced to be male, which I guess that kind of makes sense. Well, I never once really thought I knew I was female. Like even now I don't know if I'm female. I'm warming up to the idea, but for a different reason. So I don't think someone can really know enough about themselves to really understand what gender they are. And that's why whenever people push away any other outside information of people telling, like reflecting that you broadcast to the world, that's whenever we get people that, well, they don't transition very well, and they also don't seem very relatable, because they seem kind of like they're in their own little bubble. And that's also when we get people that are very a bit cringy. Like if we have a man who looks like a man, speaks like a man, talks like a man, declares that they're a woman without ever transitioning, I think that is why it seems weird, because it's almost like they're blinding themselves to themselves. And when they would have the possibility to actually like change themselves. Like for me, it was never the pronouns didn't really matter. Like being called a pronoun doesn't make me happy, and I'm not sure if a person is transgender if all they care about is the pronouns, because like for me, it was a reaction to my physical existence. Like it doesn't matter what language I am, what pronoun they use. I was deeply dissatisfied with what I was becoming and the physical characteristics of my body. And so I think that there might be more problems with people who are just like, they just don't seem to put any effort into transitioning, but they want to be considered transgender. But then like there's also the other people that they just seem to be, I don't know, we don't have to go there. But anyway, I think that a lot of people, they throw away the input, or they mask over it. They cover over it. And how do they do that? By telling people, by dictating, or even asking, because people are very nice. People in general are very nice people. And if you ask them to use a certain pronoun, and if you are nice, they will most likely do that. But you are hurting yourself, I think, because do you care about pronouns, or do you care about being what you want to be? And also, if you're telling people what answer to give you, then you're not getting an adequate answer that you can tell like what you're giving them. So whenever you broadcast you, like visually, audibly, personality-wise, everything, the you that you broadcast, since I mean you can only really tell who you are from one point of view, and even looking through a mirror, there's just too much going on in your head, and so it's a good idea to bounce it off people. And one way you can get information from people is by the pronouns that come back. And that's why early on in my gender transition, like a year into it, people all of a sudden started changing pronouns on me, and it was amazing. But a lot of trans people who dictate that, not only do they not experience that, but I worry that they never even get to the point of transition to where they would naturally transition that well. Because I believe that being constantly reminded of who people see me as really helped motivate me to be better, because transition is a lot of work. People keep saying that transition is luck. It's not luck. And I hate, because luck makes it seem like it's powerless. Like, oh, Ren, you were just lucky. No, it was fucking hard work. And it still is fucking hard work, like my voice. I've been having to fight my voice, but I seem like I'm getting some progress. So I'm happy with it, but I want to keep working on it. Right there, my voice just keeps cracking on me. Now, particularly today, because I have a bit of a sore throat. But yeah, people just seem to chalk it up to luck when it's not luck. Now, let's go back. Like, what was I talking about before? So anyway, I think that people don't really know enough about themselves to properly define their own gender. And a lot of what we define as gender, define as our gender, is what people tell us we are. And I think that that can help people fit in. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of trans women, actually have a lot of capabilities to look really nice. Not beautiful. Most women are ugly. You don't have to be beautiful to be a woman. Okay? But, I mean, we're getting into other things, and I'll probably come over this again whenever I have a better thought through idea of this. But yeah, that was what I got, and I would like to hear what you guys think, because I think that it helps explain the problems with the LGBT community, and a good way to fix it. If we just start being more honest with ourselves, more honest with the feedback that other people are giving, and we'll be more successful. I'm going to get back to working on my workshop, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!